Welcome to Monte Carlo, the normally sunny millionaire's paradise here on the Mediterranean coast. I say normally sunny, but today, on this Sunday in June, the weather has been absolutely atrocious since dawn. Thick rain clouds sweeping over the Principality. The tops of the skyscrapers of luxury flats and hotels are out of sight in the mist. The yachts are bobbing uneasily up and down on a swell in the harbour, and it looks as though the rain is here to stay. The track, the 2-mile twisting bumpy circuit, the tightest and most glamorous in the Grand Prix calendar, is very wet and very treacherous. And the 20-car field for this round 6 of the 1984 World Championship now assembling as the huge crowd of spectators wait patiently under their umbrellas, under their Macintoshes. And we've got a delayed start for an extraordinary reason. In the tunnel, the track is dry. It's so wet everywhere else that the drivers say that the change of surface from wet to dry and then from dry back to wet on the fastest part of the track, they're doing 165 miles an hour when they come out of that tunnel, is too serious, so they've got a fire tender in the tunnel. It's soaking the road, and while that goes on, the start has been delayed. There is Alain Prost on pole position. It was dry in practice, and he put in an absolutely perfect lap to get pole position on a circuit where it really matters. Nigel Mansell, second quickest in the Lotus. He's very pleased also to be at the front because overtaking is so difficult on this tight Monte Carlo circuit that if you can start at the front, you've got a good chance of staying there. There is René Arnoux, third quickest in the Ferrari, and currently lying equal third in the World Championship. Alongside him, his own teammate, Michele Alboreto, who's won the only Grand Prix he's finished in the points this year. That was in Belgium. He's had a lot of bad luck the rest of the time. He was quickest on the first day. Derek Warwick, equal third in the World Championship with the Renault, fifth quickest in practice, looking up through the umbrellas at this lowering sky, and he's got his own teammate alongside, Patrick Tambay, in the other Renault. So 2 Ferraris on the second row, 2 Renaults on the third row. Tambay worried about visibility. He's asking for something to clean his visor with.
The big advantage for us today, apart from the fact that we think we've got the best car and the best drivers in Prost and Lauda, is that Alain Prost, as you see the grid coming up, is in pole position, which means to say that he will have a clear track. All the others will have to endeavour to see through a solid ball of spray, and going up the hill, as Keke Rosberg has said, with 1 minute to go, is very, very difficult indeed. The smoke coming up, I suspect, is not engine exhaust, but may well be dry ice on the radiators of Mansell's car. No, it's steam, of course, steam coming up from the engine cover. Nigel Mansell's already done 2 laps. He's done the old Carlos Reutemann trick of going a lap on the warm-up, diving into the pits and then coming out the other end, so that he could practice the start under these appalling conditions twice, and this may give him an advantage. You can see that Nigel is not at all happy with the steam. He's waving it away from his advisor. This is the warm-up lap.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Murray. That practice start would be very valuable today because considerable throttle control is required. You can't just sit in one of these things with 600 plus horsepower and put your foot down, because if you do, the wheels spin and you stand absolutely still. And so Nigel has very sensibly and very professionally practiced his start just to see just how much grip and how much throttle he can give the car, because also, as Murray said, when he was talking about Alain Prost being the man who could see, what he actually remembers, the guy who leads, whoever gets into the first corner first, is the guy who has a clear track. And that's a huge advantage, because the leader, until he starts lapping the back markers, and then of course it becomes the same for everybody, but for the first 10 laps or so, or a bit more, is the only man who can see where he's going, and he in fact enjoys a huge advantage.
Well, they're finding out for themselves. They will all have personal experience now of the fact that the tunnel road has been watered. We've got a camera in the tunnel, so you'll be able to see for yourselves how wet it is in comparison with the rest of the course. There's the answer as Nigel Mansell comes towards us, followed by René Arnoux, the white helmeted Ferrari driver, out of the tunnel And the cloud, which was just nudging the hilltops around Monaco this morning, is now even below the top of some of the highest buildings in the Principality. I don't think I have ever seen the conditions as bad as this, including 1972, when Jean-Pierre Beltoise won in the BRM. They're approaching the Tabac corner now, which is where Martin Brundle went off yesterday so heavily. And I say again that apart from being shaken and bruised, Martin Brundle is perfectly okay. This is about halfway round the warm-up lap, no, two-thirds of the way round the warm-up lap as they go into the swimming pool section. The crowd here, not surprisingly, is noticeably much smaller than it usually is. They've decided to stay at home and watch it on television, I suspect. Prost, Mansell, Arnoux, Alboreto, Warwick, Tombay, De Cesaris, Niki Lauda, who went so quickly in the warm-up. Nelson Piquet only 9th on the grid. Keke Rosberg there 10th. De Angelis, Manfred Winkelhock, Ayrton Senna, Riccardo Patrese, Corrado Fabi, because he's taking the place of his brother Teo, normally drives in the Brabham team as number 2. And we're off now shortly for a 2-hour Monaco Grand Prix. Watch for the lights. Between 4 and 7 seconds after the red will come the green. And as they blast away up the hill for the first time, there is the problem that I anticipated, a carambolage, and it's Derek Warwick who is involved with it. It is Elio De Angelis and Patrick Tombay, both Renaults in trouble, and Riccardo Patrese, and Warwick has obviously bashed his left leg, whereas in the French Grand Prix it was his right leg. Disaster for the Renault team right at the start of the race. Now they have cranes here, they'll try and winch them out of the way. Alain Prost, after a superb start, has got away in the lead. It's Nigel Mansell second, the 2 Ferraris third and fourth. And as they go into the tunnel for the first time, it will be to meet the watered road surface, which has had heavy water laid on it. And Tombay is in trouble with a leg injury as well. Obviously, both Warwick and Tombay have got hurt legs, and disaster for the Renault team on lap 1.
Yes, what a terrible tragedy for the Renault team in what to them is a home Grand Prix, and really sad because they've had their trials and tribulations this year. Prost leading here, Mansell going beautifully. Prost made a wonderful start. He got the grip just right, moved the car off the line, and the important thing is to get it moving. He did his job, and we didn't see exactly what happened. We may be able to see on an action replay in a moment, which I'm sure they will show us because they can record from other cameras that we didn't see. And it's surprising that in the wet that both the Renault drivers should have been hurt. Hopefully not seriously, because they're going so slowly that's Derek Warwick standing there looking pretty unhappy after his accident. It looks like he feels that it wasn't his fault. Somebody may have hit him. Marshall just asking if his leg's all right. But really a tragic start for Renault.
Prost leads and Nigel Mansell in second place, and a sizable gap after Nigel Mansell. They go round the box. The cars have been craned away, the 2 Renaults of Tombay and Warwick, and that is a real credit to the organisational efficiency here. And in third position, at the end of that first lap, it was Niki Lauda who had come up from his 8th position on the grid into third position in the race, so the McLarens are first and third.
Yes, and Lauda was quickest in the wet in the warm-up today. I was asked a question earlier today by a fan who was wondering about the Lauda's attitude to the wet after he pulled out of the Japanese Grand Prix in 1976. The wet, I think that I was confidently telling this person that I think he would race, and he would race hard. And